Deadlifts and Hair Curlers. I like to work out early in the morning when my kids are still in bed. Often I'll do sprints on the street in front of the house. Then I go in to lift weights. I have a weight rack in the basement right outside my 6-year-old daughter Claire's bedroom. On the mornings I'm lifting, my daughter usually wakes up to the sound of clanking plates. When Claire wakes up, she comes out of her room to join me. She'll mosey out, climb up on the weight bench, and chat with me as I finish my workout. On one such morning a little while back, Claire came out and wanted her hair curled for school. That sounded good to me, so I grabbed Claire's hair curler and plugged it in downstairs. Claire sat and visited with me, and I alternated between the curling of hair and the lifting of weights. Call it a Nielsen family superset. I'd curl a section of Claire's hair, do a set of deadlift, curl a section of hair, and repeat. Even as the scene unfolded, I had to smile at just how accurately that morning represented my children's and my collective lifestyle and the types of images I want my children receiving. Weights are very important to me both literally and symbolically. I suppose I started lifting weights the spring of my 8th grade year, and I've been lifting pretty consistently ever since. My children have been around weightlifting their entire lives. My now 8-year-old son Mickey was lifting within days of his birth. I recall setting him in his baby carrier on a workbench in the weight room I had set up in the back of our garage at the time. I would lift and talk to him in much the same way I do now. Mickey and Claire were both frequenting our high school weight room well before either one had started preschool. They still come to the weight room, hang out with our high school athletes whom they know well, and practice squats with broomsticks. I try not to push interests on my children, but they're around the weight room in the same way I sat in the garage with my dad as he worked on cars. It's just a part of our existence. Lifting weights is a part of who I am, and just as I learned about working from watching my dad in those late nights in the garage, there is a lot my children can learn from being around weightlifting. Lifting weights immediately appealed to me. I've always enjoyed pushing my body. Before I was lifting weights and playing football, I was training in martial arts and having my mom count my push-ups in the living room. As I got older, lifting weights became a natural transition. I admit, part of the initial appeal was vanity. I liked being muscular and I liked being strong. I like it still. More than that, though, I'm obsessed with growth. As a kid, I was never the biggest or fastest or strongest. I didn't throw or catch very well. I wasn't the kid an observer would pick out of an elementary gym class to be a future college athlete. But I understood at an early age I had absolute control over how hard I worked. I realized I could decide to be tough. In that respect, the weight room was the perfect place for me. When I started participating in other sports like baseball and track, I worked diligently to develop the skills associated with those activities. However, I found limiting factors in my natural athletic abilities. I worked to run faster and jump higher, but I was never going to be one of the fast kids. I took a lot of cuts with a baseball bat, but I was still Pedro Serrano-esque in my struggles to pick up the breaking ball. I improved in both athletic endeavors, but my ceilings were a little lower in activities that required those smooth, natural movements we associate with inherently gifted athletes. I could get stronger, though, and I could keep getting tougher. The development of those attributes allowed me to find increased success in the contact sports to which I naturally gravitated, and it helped me improve in all of my athletic endeavors. The weight room is a place to build strength and toughness. And although I started lifting weights for sports, over time lifting became something more. I have always been drawn to things that are simple and visceral and raw. There's a realness to those sorts of activities that is sometimes lost in our modern lives. Lifting weights is one of those activities. Weights are honest. The weight on the bar is the weight on the bar. If you're not strong enough, you can't lift it. The weights let you know where you stand, unapologetic and unwavering. Weights are fair. We don't all start at the same spot. We all have our own inherent abilities and backgrounds and experiences, but the weights don't care. That 45-pound plate is a 45-pound plate to everyone who walks in the room. Weights are harsh. They don't care about your problems or your excuses. Weights don't care if you had a bad day or a busy week. Weights don't care about your relationship or your bills or your BS. Weights can be cruel, but they are consistent. Weights don't criticize. Weights don't judge. Weights are always there. If you lift and give an honest effort, you will get stronger. It's as simple as that. In that respect, weights are a lot like life, and that's what I want my children to understand. My children are going to face problems that will be as cold and unforgiving as those weights. Mickey and Claire can make the decision to take their problems personally, to curse their lots in life, to be defeated by their obstacles, or they can understand their challenges don't care who they are or what they think they deserve. We either work against our challenges, use the resistance to callous up and grow, or we don't. We get stronger, or we stay weak. Those are the only options, and the challenges don't care which option we choose. Those are the lessons I want my children to learn, and being around weightlifting is an opportunity to learn them. When my children are in a packed high school weight room at 6 a.m, I want them to see the benefits of being disciplined. I want them to see how those athletes work and grow. I want Mickey and Claire to recognize the way those high school students talk with them and look after them, so they might understand how to treat others. When my children see me lifting weights, I want them to understand they have control over their physical fitness, regardless of their age or the obstacles they face. I want them to know there is great value in physical and mental strength. Since I started regularly lifting weights when I was 14 years old, the longest I've gone without lifting was a 3-month period almost 5 years ago when I faced some significant health concerns. I've written about these health issues before, but I faced some unexpected physical ailments, including a bacterial infection that attacked my digestive tract. For months I lost weight, my muscles ached, my head hurt, and I often felt like I was being stabbed in the abdomen. It was a constant fight to teach and make it through the day. I remember helping my children make a snowman in those early months, pretending like I felt fine but struggling to roll a ball of snow. I recall wrestling my children on the living room floor, in pain, but not wanting them to miss an enjoyed experience on account of me. After 3 months, interactions with several different doctors, and a host of tests, I still felt quite poor, but I was basically told working out wasn't going to make anything any worse. With that information, I was ready to start lifting and running and exercising again. Physically, I didn't feel like working out, but pushing back against resistance is the only path I know. At that time, my muscles ached so badly I felt like they were going to tear when I tried to lift a weight that previously would have been too light for a proper warm-up set. I started by holding plank poses. Then I started lifting light weights, feeling terrible but convinced I would get stronger. I didn't feel close to normal for probably 2 years. I had dozens of more doctor's visits and tests and procedures and surgeries. Several times I had to build myself back up again. I relied on the weights then. I relied on the weights to regain my physical strength. But more than that, I relied on the mental strength built over thousands of previous lifts and workouts and hardships. That is what I want my children to understand. As with anything I say, or any part of my story, I don't mean to insinuate that I have any answers. I don't want any praise. I'm not trying to brag about anything I've accomplished. I haven't done anything special, and that's the point. I just want my kids to understand they can choose to be tough. They can choose to work diligently, and they can choose to overcome obstacles. I don't much like talking about myself, and if I could think of a better way to make my point real to my children, I'd use it. I only mean to illustrate why I find activities like lifting weights so important. I want Mickey and Claire to be around things that promote discipline and strength and tenacity. But that's only half of our morning of hair curls and deadlifts. My daughter spends a lot of time in the weight room and on the football field. She enjoys those things, but she also enjoys having her hair done and her nails painted. She likes to put on makeup and wear fancy dresses. Those are good things too. I don't want her to be vain or obsessed with appearance, but I want her to feel good about herself. I want both of my children to feel empowered and confident and supported and strong. That's what our weightlifting, hairstyling mornings are about. I want Claire to know she can lift weights and style her hair. I want her to know those things aren't mutually exclusive. I also want her to know I'm invested in her interests. She likes to have her hair done, so I learned the nuances of hair curlers and detangling sprays. I learned how to do a bevy of braids from French and Dutch to fishtail and waterfall. Whether it's styling hair, or painting nails, or helping pick the perfect color of glitter lip gloss, I want Claire to know I'm all in on her interests too. Mickey will generally stagger downstairs on the mornings I'm lifting and talking with Claire, and I want him to receive the same messages. I want him to understand the hard work and discipline and strength the weights represent, but I also want him to see the hairstyling too. If Mickey is a father someday, I want him to know it's cool for him to curl his daughter's hair and paint her nails. Furthermore, if Mickey wants to paint his nails or wear shiny lip gloss or whatever, I've got no problem with that either. Mickey seems more interested in wearing superhero shirts at this point, but I want both of my children to understand they are free to be who they want to be and present themselves to the world however they so choose. For me, whether it's lifting weights or styling hair or anything in between, it's about ensuring Mickey and Claire have the strength and the confidence to stride boldly into a harsh world, secure in their true selves. Everyone deserves that. So do some deadlifts and curl some hair, or do whatever it is that gives you the strength to overcome your obstacles and the confidence to face them. Thank you.